You may have heard that VOD reviewing yourself is the best way to improve quickly in any game. But the problem is most players never actually get real results because most people don't actually know how to properly VOD review yourself to actually make improvement. So I'm going to explain what the biggest problems with self-VOD reviewing are and how you can fix them in this episode of Shotty's Yap Session. And if you guys are new here, this is a series where I yap about a topic and you turn me on in the background while you do something else. Or if you really want to, you can watch the mid gameplay. Let's get right into it. Now, the first one is the simplest, but it's usually actually the hardest for most people to get better at, which is the fact that we're obviously biased, right? Most people think they're better or justify their plays a lot more. Now, what do I mean by that? It's very common for you to do something wrong or you're VOD reviewing yourself and you make a mistake. But when you make the mistake, you go back and say, oh, well, I did this because this, and this person wasn't going to do this, and this person wasn't going to heal me, and I had to do this because XYZ. A lot of people do that. I actually used to do it myself. I still do, obviously. No one's perfect. You're always going to have an ego or a bias towards yourself, which I don't think is a bad thing. But for improvement, it's a problem because if you're not self-critical, you can't really improve. If everything you do you think is perfect, you're never really going to get anywhere. And the best way I found to fix this, and it's actually why I mention it so much in my videos, is everything is your fault. If you think of everything as I'm the problem, I messed up, I could have done this, I could have done that, and you completely think of your gameplay in a self-sufficient way, like for example, I should have played around the health packs or done this or done that or played around cover here. If you think in that way, you will overall just become a better player. One of the arguments I've heard about that is, oh, well, this is a team game, and by the time you get to the higher ranks where you actually need to become a team player to really rank up, you won't know how to, or blah, blah, blah. The thing about that is, it's just not true. If you get, let's say in a hypothetical world, you get extremely good at surviving by yourself, doing 1v1s, completely playing a team game solo, and being able to rank up purely off of your own merit, or majority off of your own merit. Imagine you do that. Do you think somebody who can get to Celestial, and they were originally bronze level players, is it really far-fetched to think that that person who thought about only how to play for themselves or play around themselves, they can't figure out how to play around one or two team ups or a few other people or whatever? For the most part, a lot of this game, especially depending on the role, you don't really need teammates to be effective. Now, some people are going to hear that and be confused on what I mean. I don't mean, oh, you can just go solo the whole team and just win everything by yourself. What I mean is you can play around cover by yourself, angles, cut up 1v1s. It's like Valorant, actually. You know how in Valorant they're slicing the pie, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically you peek each angle that someone could be at one by one instead of swinging all the angles at once. You learn how to do that when you learn how to 1v1 6 people, how to turn an enemy team from a 1v6 into a 1v1, and then a 1v2, and then another 1v1, and then whatever. Learning how to cut up 1v1s is one of the most important skills in games because every single game you need to do it. Every single game. If you're doing PvP, like for example in COD, you're not going to swing 7 people in COD, or Destiny Trials of Osiris. If you're doing a carry, you're not going to face all 3 people at once at the same time and swing them. It's the same thing with Marvel Rivals. If you master, you're the problem, you're playing wrong, and you're not playing around yourself and all that, you'll be able to perform so much better, so much quicker than someone who's purely reliant on teammates, or their playstyle is reliant on teammates. Now, for the second one, you don't know what you're looking for. This one's hard because no matter how many YouTube videos you watch, no matter what you do, no matter anything, it doesn't matter because you don't have the experience of 100 matches, 500 matches, 700 matches, whatever, at a higher level. So you don't even know what your games should look like. You don't know how you should be playing, or should you be playing the same as a Celestial player is playing in Silver. You don't know exactly how to play in each rank, which is actually why I think a lot of people do need somebody to coach them or to VOD review them if they're serious about, I want to improve. I don't think everyone needs it because a lot of people, if you are a very self-sufficient person, you can figure it out. You watch enough VOD reviews, you watch enough YouTube videos, you'll see, okay, so usually they say XYZ, but it takes a lot of time, right? It takes a lot of experience to get to that point. And speaking of that, I actually have been giving away an entire free free month of my lock-in tier for only October. It expires at the end of October, but let's say you sign up on October 31st, you still get for an entire month, you know? And in this lock-in tier, I actually just added weekly free VOD reviews. That's what gave me the idea for this video. I'm doing free VOD reviews every single week. I think it's going to be like every Friday, Saturday maybe, and I'll choose a few people. I respond to your VOD and I record a video about it and coach you for the VOD. I also added a Q&A area, and I have an AIM guide on there, and I have a Marvel Rivals guide, but the Marvel Rivals one isn't finished yet, but the AIM one is. So if you want to get free weekly VOD reviews, free Q&A with me, and an AIM guide and a Marvel Rivals guide, all completely free for an entire month, click the link in the description and use the code 1YEAR at checkout. Also, if you don't know, it's only $20 a month after that. So if you do decide to stay, anyways, so about figuring out what to look for. The problem with figuring out what to look for is different things for different ranks. But in general, what you want to be looking for is your positioning relative to cover, your positioning relative to your teammates, how often you're doing damage and how often you're in the fight, and the amount of deaths you have. Those are the main things. There are a few more things, like for example, cooldown management and how you're managing your cooldowns for your teammates, or how often you sit on cooldowns, which is extremely important. But the biggest problems I see in lower ranks is everyone's swinging 6 miles away from cover, or they're all sitting there swinging the entire team at the same time, or their team is way behind them and they're 6 miles up saying, guys, are we pushing? Guys, hello? Meanwhile, they haven't even left spawn yet, or there are 4 teammates dead and then they just pop their ults, or things like that. So you want to be mostly looking at the way you position relative to your team, the engagements you take, the damage you do, and the cooldowns you use and don't use. Obviously, a big generalization, but that should be a good framework to start with. Now, for the next thing, you VOD review too old of games. I think most people should VOD review the same day they play games. Why do I say that? The reason why I say that is most people don't even know what the thought process was for what they did. I've seen people coach themselves and then they choose a game from 2 weeks ago, or they even join my coaching. They give me a game from 2 weeks ago and I say, why'd you do this? And they'll say XYZ, or they'll say, I have no clue. It was 6 weeks ago. The people who tell me why they do it, usually I can understand and help them a lot more and give them real reasons on why they should do what they do, right? If you tell me, oh, I did this because I thought that this guy was going to ult, so I preemptively pop this or whatever, I would be able to say, okay, actually a pretty good idea, blah, 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 blah. Or if you say you did that, and I would say, okay, now let's look at this person you're talking about ulting. Do you see where they're positioned? They're nowhere near able to fight, right? If they pop their ult here, half of their ultimate would be wasted running up to you, or something along those lines. If you don't know why you did something, you'll never be able to explain to yourself or reason with yourself how to actually do it properly. And this is extremely common. Everybody does this. So many people that I've seen coach themselves just don't really think about why they did it. They just try to be a robot. They're like, okay, well, Coach Shotty said, let me always position with my team, or let me always not position with my team, and blah, blah, blah. And then they go into a game, and because I said don't position with your team, they're 6 miles from any teammates, and they're popping their ultimate in Timbuktu, when clearly that ain't right, you know? You shouldn't just be completely independent. You shouldn't be 6 miles away from your whole team the whole time. But some people will get an idea, they will run with it, and then if they VOD review themselves, they won't even remember why they did it. So they just think, wow, I must have been an idiot this week. Okay, so how to improve? Don't be an idiot, you know, and it doesn't benefit anybody. So you want to be able to reason with yourself, because a lot of improvement and learning, and especially in real life learning, is reasoning through why you did what you did. It's actually why I love engineering so much. If you don't know, I was in college for electrical engineering. I almost graduated with a bachelor's in mathematics and computer science, but I dropped out for YouTube because I didn't really ever plan on getting a job in computer science or mathematics. So I was like, whatever. And I don't really enjoy the way school is taught, because I feel like a lot of it's just me get great on tests, not me learn something, you know? But I loved engineering because engineering, a lot of it is the design process. If you don't know what the design process is, you pretty much have to go through every single step of an invention, like thinking of the idea, then fixing it, and then writing about why, and then writing the instructions, and writing this, and then drawing it, and then repeating it 7 times to make different iterations of the same invention to improve it. And it's always constant self-reasoning. And I think the way you think in engineering is one of the most important ways to think overall. Because if you can't reason anything, how are you supposed to improve, right? You're just saying, oh, well, this guy told me to do this because this. Yes, sir. And you never actually learn why you do anything. So it's really important to reason with yourself. Now, the last tip and the most important one is you try to fix every single problem. People will watch a VOD of their own gameplay and they'll sit there and go through, oh, I did this wrong, I did this wrong, I did this wrong, and then write a 17-page list and talk about, okay, well, I have 821 things to work on. I'm bad with 1v1ing this character, I'm bad with 1v1ing this character, I walk this too far, and I do this, and I do that, and that. Bro, you can't even improve at like 4 things at once in a game. How do you expect to improve at 400? You need to go into everything with a few objectives, right? It's like a game. If you're going to do a side quest for something, why do the side quest? And while you're doing the side quest, you have to do every single side quest you see on the way to the first side quest you were doing. It's like cleaning. If you clean, right, and you're cleaning under your bed, but then you find a pot under your bed and then you go bring it to the kitchen, then you see the dishes are dirty. Then you do the dishes, then you realize that they were out of soap. And then you leave to go buy more soap. Then when you get back with the soap, you realize that we're out of eggs. So then you go to the grocery and you get egg. And bro, what are we doing? That's what it's like when you VOD review and you try to fix everything. You have no goals, right? You have no direct mission. You're just doing everything. You've got to choose something and get it done. And then work on the next thing and then work on the next thing. If you go into every single day that you're playing with one objective, that one thing you just want to improve on, let's say I want to get my aim better today, or if I want to work on my trigger discipline, or whatever it is, choose one thing. Because if you choose 17, you're not even going to do one of those 17. You're just going to throw your match because you're thinking too much. And because you're thinking so much about everything, you never actually play correctly. And speaking of throwing, because you have too many things that you're doing at once, most people play incorrectly when they're trying to rank up versus when they're trying to improve. And if you want to hear more about that, check this video out right here. And if you guys like free stuff, it's only going to be free for 1 month. So make sure you get your free VOD reviews, your free aim guide, and everything else. And hopefully you guys enjoy it so you'll stick around. I love you guys. Have a good one. God bless you.